Hey folks, hope you all are doing well. I'm Karan Bandal from Econosite, and in this video, let's talk about the sector we all depend on for our modern way of life. As we begin the new year in 2024, let's talk about the sector that enables us all to live a modern lifestyle. From the time we get up in the morning to when we go to bed at night, we are surrounded by and rely on gadgets like smartphone, smartwatch, laptop, desktop, television, etc. Whether for good or for bad, these electronic goods are here to stay. Even the appliances we use, washing machine, microwave, coffee machine, refrigerator and so on are full of electronics now. Take cars and bikes we drive. Electronics are everywhere around us. So I think nations need to take stock of how self-reliant they are for their own electronic needs. And so, let's talk about India's electronics manufacturing sector. Go back 10 years. In financial year 2014, India's domestic electronics manufacturing was worth around $30 billion. By the end of the current financial year ending on March 2024, India will have produced over $100 billion worth of electronics, almost quadrupling the size of this sector. The production of mobile phones is the poster boy of the country's electronics manufacturing, which continues to show rapid growth, going from $42 billion last fiscal to over $50 billion by March 2024. Apple has already been ramping up its iPhone production in India, and now Google is expected to begin making its Pixel smartphones in India. This will complete the manufacturing presence of all global smartphone majors in the country. While the growth in India's domestic electronics manufacturing is admirable, the criticism is that India only assembles electronic goods and there isn't a meaningful value addition taking place. In other words, India imports most of the critical raw materials and components from outside, and with a few turns of a screwdriver, performs a low-skilled assembly operation to make a finished product. It is true to some extent. For example, in a smartphone, making components like semiconductor chips, display screens, cameras, etc. takes a high level of skill as it is technologically complex and commands a greater share of the final cost of a finished product. See, experts place the size of India's electronics component manufacturing base at around $11 billion, while the demand is in excess of $40 billion. So this gap has to be filled via imports. India depends on China, South Korea, Vietnam, and other East and Southeast Asian countries for electronic components. It is not going to be an easy task to build component manufacturing ecosystem in India because component manufacturing requires a very high capital investment ratio between 1:1 and 1:3 against the ratio of 1:10 or more for assembly, test, and pack operation. To be fair though, you have to start somewhere in the process of building up a new sector. Assembly might just be a good place to begin, and value addition in electronics manufacturing in India has been rising. In many electronic products, it has increased to up to 60%. In mobile devices, the value addition has picked up from 5 to 6% earlier to up to 28%. There is movement in the direction of going up the value chain. So while the criticism is valid, we must acknowledge the progress in India's electronics manufacturing sector. Quadrupling the size of the sector in a decade is no joke. On top of that, for the next few years, this sector is expected to grow at a CAGR of 24%. That means you are doubling the size of the sector every 3 years. Imagine adding over $100 billion in just 3 years. Now, there are two key drivers that are enabling this growth. One of the pillars of this growth is electronics manufacturing services or EMS companies. EMS consists of services such as designing, manufacturing, testing, distributing, and servicing electronic components and assemblies for OEMs. For example, Apple designs iPhones, but Foxconn sources components and assembles and tests iPhones for Apple. Apple is an OEM, Foxconn is an EMS company. Going back to the point around value addition, the company that designs an iPhone registers almost twice the revenue when compared to the company that makes the iPhone, and commands over 60 times the market capitalization. You can see where the financial market places more value and the disproportionate nature of the same. As we discussed, assembly operation has taken off in India, led by the growth in EMS companies like Foxconn, Flex and Dixon to name a few. Look at these sustained double-digit growth rates for EMS expansion for more than half a decade now. India's EMS market will hit close to $80 billion in just a few years' time. Second, China Plus One strategy that the global firms have embarked upon, coupled with India's growing domestic demand, is another factor that's benefiting India's electronic space. Finally, trends like Industry 4.0, focus on sustainability, and increasing affordability help as well. Industry 4.0 is driving growth as industries integrate digital technologies such as AI, automation, and data analytics to optimize their processes, improve efficiency, and enhance productivity. That means India's industry will buy more electronic goods that are full of sensors and are connected to the internet. Focus on sustainability is most visible in the automotive sector among others. Increasing production of EVs dominated by two-wheelers has driven up the demand for electronics such as the battery management system. And increasing affordability has created a strong market for consumer electronics ranging from smartphones to home appliances. It almost seems like all the necessary factors are converging that are conducive to the growth of India's electronics industry. In summary, we rely heavily on electronics for our modern lifestyles. From a geopolitical standpoint then, it is necessary to achieve a certain minimum level of self-reliance or have your relevant supply chains flow through friendly countries. It is encouraging to see India's electronics manufacturing sector taking off. There are deficiencies, of course. India still dabbles in low value added activities in this sector, but there are signs that the sector is moving up the value chain. Consistent government policies that are business friendly are a must if India is to reinforce its electronics industry by building component manufacturing ecosystem to complement its assembly work. I hope you found this analysis interesting. I'll speak with you again next week. Until then, take care.